So with this latest episode of Otome game, we have, of course, the new Doom route. The one that has obviously been set up and has been foreshadowed. It was just a matter of where, when, and what was going to cause it, and now we know it's the President, a character who's been very relevant, but also not so relevant, which makes the reveal very solid overall. Like, in hindsight, yeah, it was the most obvious option, but because it was a character that popped up, maybe the character design and the smile felt a little fake and forced, so you're like, okay, I don't really trust this character, but at the same time, it's gotta be something else. But when you see the reveal, you're thinking to yourself, well, of course, this is the character that our main lead, Katarina, has more or less avoided, so she conquered all the other routes, but forgot about the most dangerous one because she never reached that point and only had very basic information that she kind of forgot about. So that's pretty amazing, I have to say. Maria gets kidnapped. I'm not going to say killed. She's probably just kidnapped, probably locked away somewhere, which is a pretty exciting plot point, and we avoid what we thought was going to be the Doom route at the very beginning of this episode and the ending of last week, and in doing so, it created a very interesting dynamic. You end last week's episode where you have, oh, there's a Doom route, and I think a lot of people probably expected that we were going to get blue balls because it's been a pretty comfy show. We know there's Doom, we know there is that Doom route, but at the same time, every time something bad has popped up, she's always got out of it. She's always navigated either in a comedic way or with the help of those that she's basically befriended, if not have made fall in love with her. And because she's conquered literally every love interest imaginable, it's totally understandable why they would stick up for her and not believe these blatant lies, which it was interesting seeing the lies be thrown at her because literally, as she said, the only thing she really did wrong was throw snakes at people, which were fake snakes, and she gardened in the school, basically, backyard. So, what could really be this, like, horrible, devastating thing that she did to Maria? And now we're seeing, like, just the idea of dark magic and how apparently you can only have it if you kill someone and sacrifice someone, which I'm not going to be surprised if more or less the reason this president has this power is because someone around him died, not that he actually killed them. Maybe he did, maybe they'll go super dark with it. But still, it's just, watching this episode unfold, you think to yourself, of course, we're not getting dark, we're not getting serious, because this is a Otome game. Every time they've built up to something being Doom, we have our dense, clueless, lovable MC who just avoids all problems. And that's something that I was actually getting a little stale of in this episode. Up to this point, I've had no issues with it, but seeing it once again, I'm like, you're giving us that potential of a serious plotline and then you're ripping it away from us. But seeing how they ended the episode, I am so happy with the direction they took this episode. Because in doing so, for so long, feeling like there's a Doom ending, there's a secret ending, a secret route, why can't we see it? You're getting this anxiety as if there's gotta be something, right? They gotta show us something that is going to blow our mind. And in doing so, by making us exhausted with this last little bit here, at least that's how I felt, and I thought it was a brilliant direction, ending in a brilliant cliffhanger. Okay, the cat's out of the bag, we have the Doom ending, and of course it's gone. And even though I was disappointed at that moment, not anymore seeing what they actually built up to, but in that moment before knowing what they were building up to, I was like, that's disappointing. But it was great to see all of her conquered characters stand up for her, even though they were pretty much insulting her to her face, saying she's too stupid for any of this. Are you joking me? And it wasn't one or two characters, they all were pretty much saying she's too stupid to make elaborate schemes, and I'm like, oh, bless this show, but I kind of feel bad for Katarina. It's nice seeing how they just make you say, again, you love that there's this development with the cast, and you feel like they're these wholesome group of friends, and they all want to be potential lovers, but you feel like there's development, but you're also like, where is the Doom? And then you start seeing the Maria content, and you're like, oh, I spoke too soon. I love the idea of the dark and light magics, the fact that the magic actually work in sync or kind of against one another, the fact that these shadows that we've been seeing all this time were actually leading up to the real Doom ending, and I thought that's brilliant, especially considering only light magic can see these shadows, and it makes total sense why she kept picking up on things that other characters were completely oblivious to. And the fact that this whole like mind control or wiping your minds, things like that, which happened to the characters who were basically saying, hey, you're this horrible person, which I am honestly curious if this Doom route is someone reincarnated similar to Katarina, and that's why they know certain things that it feels like only game players should know, because she hasn't done any of these horrible things, unless that's just simply because he made up lies to make her look bad because he just really hates her, which is a complete possibility. But it's nice to see that if you do have light magic, you're pretty much immune to his brainwashing, but it doesn't change the fact if you got a bottle of knockout gas, you can still do wonders. So it's really nice seeing just the flow of this episode. In a lot of ways, I might say this was my favorite episode or one of my favorite episodes of the Otome game. Simply because it feels like there's payoff and build up, that all this time that we're like, oh my god, just give us Doom. Like, we love the comedy, we love the relationships. It doesn't feel like a reverse harem, it feels like there's actually character build up and development, and all these characters have amazing personalities, which is why when her friends stand up for her, you feel like even though it's hilarious because they're insulting her to her face, at the same time it actually feels like there's been development so we understand why these characters are sticking up for her, which makes it an incredible moment despite in the back of my mind being like, where is the Doom, damn it? And I got all the Doom I could possibly want for her. And it was quite interesting because there was a couple of moments throughout watching this anime that I looked at the president and I wanted to say, that's a bad guy. But it just felt like the character, he was there for such a short amount of time, and when he was there, it almost felt to me like I was trying to pick something that wasn't there, like, oh, he kind of looks a little creepy, looks like it's a fake smile, but I was like, okay, I mean, look at all these characters, they all have a fake anime smile. Where am I going with this? It's probably going to be a side character who we just don't even recognize, and that's going to be the big bad villain. Maybe one of the characters who kept trying to blame Katarina or attacked Maria and things like that. But the fact that it was a character who was actually a very relevant role, the president, but is kind of ignored by Katarina, most likely feels very envious of the fact that everyone surrounding this club room goes to her and completely ignores him. He probably has a bad family life, bad personal life. I mean, you gotta have something going on if you have dark magic, and you can only get that by killing someone, or maybe potentially being around someone who died. So there's an understandable reason why he would have this resentment, but I thought it was actually a very nice build-up where it's funny because she just blurts it out, hey, do you have dark magic? And it's like, oh shit. Because that's one of my favorite quirks of Katarina, is that she just doesn't think things through, and when she does, she says it out loud as she thinks, which causes a lot of issues. But they actually built it up in a very solid way, where you're getting this dramatic shot. I love the close-ups where you get the evil grins, and she's oblivious to a lot of the little things that we notice as the viewer. And then it's all exposed, and he looks so menacing, so evil, and you're like, of course, he is a scummy character. And then you see it from her eyes, because she is a good person, and you see it's a sad person. Even though he still knocks her out and says, like, you're just gonna be knocked out till you die, you still get a sense of loneliness and isolation more so than any character in the series up to this point. And that's intriguing, because we only have a few more episodes to go, or 2 more episodes to go, actually. So it's going to be interesting to see what they want to do with the remainder of the story here, and how they're going to wrap it up. I've heard with how they're basically adapting it, it should have a good stopping point for the anime season, and if we get a second season, awesome. If not, I mean, if it has a decent stopping point, I'm not going to be complaining. But I know some people complain about the past few episodes because they're anime original, they're saying it felt more filler, and I'm not going to say those episodes were like the all-time best episodes of Otome game. One was actually exceptional in my mind, but it still felt like, because of that more slower pace, the more comfy pace, and just what they were doing, seeing what we're seeing now, it feels like a good cushion to lead us off into a more serious plotline to end off this anime season, and this has been an exceptional show. Voice acting on point, especially for the president, Katarina, once again hitting it out of the park. I love how she actually felt destroyed, she felt worried, and she felt distraught, and I thought she did a great job. But the visual directing honestly impressed me, especially with the dramatic stuff towards the end, or even just the shadows and how they cloud the characters. There was some great visuals in this episode. Sure, there was some slideshow presentation, but I mean, there was some impressive shots, especially for the dramatic. I'm kind of realizing that whether they go super romantic and like just like your heart's melting, or just like your guts just like wanting to be just ripped from your body, it feels like they know how to do dramatic visual directing, and it's pretty exceptional. I'm sure there's plenty of people who called the president being kind of like the big bad Doom route of this anime, but comparing it to my comment section, just like what people were theorizing, unless just most of the people watching have read the source material and they were being really good about not spoiling, I didn't see too many people focus in on his character. Hindsight's 2020, it makes total sense, the build-up was there, and it makes the most sense, honestly, than a random character. It would feel a lot more forced and convenient if it was a random character rather than someone like the president, who's been there all along for a good while and has reason to have this like distrust and hate for basically someone who's ignored him but kind of like has fawned over everyone else. So I'm going to be very curious to see like what the reaction is to this reveal, because I haven't looked at any reactions on any social medias whatsoever, because I do like it. I think it makes the most sense, and a lot of times when you have a reveal like this, I'm not the biggest fan because it feels like, well, of course, it's just so obvious. But the way they were building it up and making us feel so safe, it was like I was expecting a Doom route, but at the same time I wasn't, and I was like, it's just never gonna happen. And because it kept baiting us in time and time again, I'm like, here it is, and I was just getting angry with myself. And now looking back at the flow, I'm so happy with how long they baited us, and the fact that we got it at episode 10 rather than episodes ago when I'm like, please just give us an antagonist. And now I'm like, I'm glad you built it up in this way, because now we can still have company, we can still have fun, but at the same time, there's dramatic right now at the forefront, and I'm really excited to see what they're going to do with everything, because this was a great episode, one of the best. I'm not sure if I'm going to call it my favorite episode, but it's definitely one that I'm going to remember the most in terms of just being overly fond of for Otome game and just what it did for this anime season. As always, let me know your thoughts and opinions on this latest episode, the twist, and where you think it might go in the future. Do let me know. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to leave a like, share your support, remember to hit that subscribe button if you happen to be new around here. So until next time, everyone, please take care and have a good one.